What's up, guys? It's Parallax Abstraction, and this is Retro Flashfoward, showcasing gaming's roots in the current generation. Man, another Retro Flashforward and another roguelike game. I swear I had no intention for this to happen in a row like this, but it totally did, because these games just keep coming out. And man, I got a really cool one to talk to you about today. So this is Downwell. This is a game made by a single person out of Japan. I believe his name is Ojiro Fumoto. I apologize if I massacred that. But this is really, really awesome. And as you can see, it's retro looking as heck. So this is the PC version, but it is also out on iOS devices. I do not own an iOS device, so I have not played it there. But as I understand it, it plays just fine there, because this is only a 3-button game. So let's just dive right in, and I'm going to try to show you this. This game is so frenetic. Forgive me if I get kind of stuttery when I'm trying to talk to you, because it's going to be very hard to concentrate and talk about it at the same time. So the core idea of this game is that it is a retro-looking roguelike game where you are a boy falling down a well with gun boots. I do believe that is how the developer himself describes it. He claims that this game was very, very heavily inspired by Spelunky, which I could totally believe. I am actually not a fan of Spelunky. Like, it's one of those games I respect, but I just find it too frustrating. But this does something very different with the formula, and I love it. So the concept here is very, very simple. You are falling down the well with gun boots, and you're shooting stuff as you go and picking stuff up from them. So your goal is to get to the end of the level, and eventually you can get through all the caverns and get to the final boss. But this first cavern is not easy, but not too bad. But beyond this, it gets absolutely bonkers. So, you're falling down the cave, shooting stuff as you go. You can avoid enemies, you can also shoot them and jump on them, though this varies. Some enemies cannot be shot, some cannot be jumped on, and some can be both. And the only way you really know if you don't want to use a guide is to experiment. But you want to try to take out as many as you can, because they all drop gems. And the gems are what you use to buy upgrades for yourself later on. So you can find upgrades in some cases. What's really cool about this is there's these little sort of time bubbles you can go into, where there's and they lead into caves that have either power-ups or shops or other things like that. But as you can see, the world stops when you go in there. Everything pauses. So the enemies stop, and you can actually stay here for a second and catch a breather if you want. If you need to be like, whew, okay, gotta get my wits here, you can do that. And you can go in here, so the caves will sometimes have weapons, shops, or massive stockpiles of gems like that, which I just love. And when you collect enough gems in rapid succession, you get what's called a gem high, which is up there. And basically what that does is that increases the size of your shots. So it allows you to affect damage over a wider area. And you can also pick up weapons. There are a number of different weapons in this game, all of which have very different ammo counts and different effects. So I have a laser, there's a spread shot you can get, there's all sorts of other things you can get. So here we go, I'm at the end of the level. That's one cleared, and you can pick an upgrade. So there are upgrades in this that you get as you go. You can either buy them or get another one after every level. So you can see here, stomping on enemies causes a blast, gain 4 hit points, which I don't need because I'm actually at full health, or increase range and accuracy. Let's do that one. So you get 1 per level. Okay, here we go. And you just kind of keep going on like this. The first cavern, like I said, is not too bad. Cavern 2 ramps the difficulty up to 11. It just gets, wow, it gets crazy really, really fast. I believe there's either 4 or 5 caverns. I'm actually not 100% sure on that one, but getting to even through those, I think, will require a lot of patience. But this game has, like, I am hot and cold on roguelikes, as you've probably seen before. I don't mind roguelikes when the formula is done in a certain way. And then other kinds I don't like. I generally am not a fan of the straight-up pure roguelike, because I just find it too frustrating. But I like games like Sublevel 0, for example, that do a variance on the formula to a certain degree, and that's what this does. Playthroughs in this are usually very, very quick, but they're very, very fast, they're very frenetic, and it just feels so good. The controls in this have an almost Super Meat Boy-like response to them. They are super, super responsive, super tight, which you need in a game like this. Otherwise, if you feel like you're fighting the controls, you're going to get frustrated. And this does not have that. So here's a shop. So this guy has something that can heal hit points or give charge. So charge is essentially your ammo. If you buy charge, you get more shots. So the way you reload your gun is either by jumping off an enemy or touching the ground. So if you want to stay in the air, you got to make sure you don't run out of ammo, otherwise you won't be able to shoot until you get your feet down again. This just allows me to shoot more at one time, which is very handy. That sushi's real expensive, but let's get ourselves amped up here. See ya. Unlike Spelunky, you can't kill the shopkeeper and get crazy bonuses, but also have this super hard raving lunatic pursuing you throughout the rest of the level. I don't have a problem with that at all. So there's a decent variety of enemies in this first level. You'll get a whole bunch of different enemies that you have to learn in the second level. Most of the ones here are not too bad, except the damn bats. I friggin' hate the bats. Yes, here's my favorite one. So this is an interesting one, Time Void. It literally creates a bubble, one of those time bubbles that you can stand in whenever you get hurt. What's this? Getting gems causes a bullet to shoot up. That's interesting. I've never seen that before. This is my favorite one, though, the drone, which just follows you along, and basically it's like an option in a Gradius game or something. It just gives you a second shot, and it sort of provides a second layer for you. There's also blocks there that you can see that have gems in them that you can blow up. And you're getting kind of the core loop of this thing. Wow, that was very quick. Let's buy another charge. Why not? And there is a little bit of persistence to this game, though not much. You can level up, but what the leveling just gives you is different color palettes that you can play in and different styles. And styles essentially modify the rule of the games. Your character will animate differently, which is kind of cute. But it also usually, I've only unlocked one so far, but it came with both a benefit and a detraction. So it's one of those things where depending on how you want to play, it might, depending on how your style is, it might actually be to your benefit to get to use one of those different styles, or if you just want to amp up the challenge for yourself. In some cases, it might not be, though, but it gives you the choice. You never have to use them, which I can respect. Options are always good. Okay, so here's a different gun here. This is a triple. I like this one. Oftentimes, when you pick up guns as well, you'll either get additional health or additional charges with them, depending. Sometimes you won't, sometimes you will, so it's a bit of a dice roll there. As you can see, the enemies, like these bloody bats, will continue to follow you down if you don't kill them early on. So you want to make sure you manage your enemy patterns very, very carefully, because if you don't, you can get overwhelmed very quickly when you stop to take a breather, or just if you end up getting slowed down. You got to be careful about that. But yeah, this is basically the core of it, and I love this game. This is absolutely, oh yes, consume some dead bodies to get health, lift off, bullet casings deal damage. That's an interesting one. I don't know what this rocket jump is. Let's see what it is. So as you can see, the power-up stack as well. As long as the, oh yes, Catacomb 1. So now we're into the second level. This is where stuff gets nuts. So you're going to see the different enemy types here. There are also blocks that if you stand on them, they're colored, but if you stand on them, like those red ones, they actually shoot spikes out, so you can't stand there very long. Yeah, this gets, as you can see already with the guys that are pursuing me, this gets friggin' nuts fast. And it can be a little daunting. Yeah, let's do 1-in-1. And the enemies are all waiting for you when you come out of there, right? Like, you stop when you're in the time bubble, but the enemies don't disappear. So you still got to be prepared to deal with whatever you had going on when you went in there. But yeah, I love this game. Like, I actually could see this working very, very well on a mobile device. If this was out on Android, I might buy it again for my phone, because it is a game that you can play in very, very short sessions. And it has that, just that compelling, one more run quality to it, because it doesn't take very long to get through a game, and you always feel like, bugger. You always feel like you've made some progress, especially when you get level stuff like this, and it just makes you keep wanting to do it. It's just, it's so good. So if you go back to the surface, I'll show you here. So you've got a couple of different things. So there's the style select. This is the normal one. Arm spin style is the one that I unlocked. So the only thing you'll find in caves is gun modules, and there's less shops. That might be good for some people. I tried it. It was kind of a bummer for me. And then there's also the palettes that you can unlock. So this is the standard one. Matcha is the one I've been using because I like that green. There's Aqua. There's Game Boy, which is very accurate, but also kind of There's Virtual Boy, which is kind of eye-burning, but also kind of neat. And then there are other ones you'll unlock as you go. But Matcha is actually the one I like. I just wanted to show you guys what the main one looks like. You can also, if you go back, actually, I don't know if that takes you back to the menu or not, but you can go back to the surface, in which case it's kind of funny. You'll see, when you go back to the surface, you'll see your little guy either chilling out happy or snoozing on a bench. And then when you press the button, he jumps up and runs back into the well. It's kind of cute. But yeah, I just love the formula for this game. I had no idea it existed until a couple of days ago. And I'm so glad it came out on the PC, because while I can see that this was probably designed for mobile first and is definitely designed for the, you know, I only have a few minutes type mentality here, it still plays great on the PC, and it plays really, really well, and you can, even in a short session, you can feel like you accomplished a decent amount. Like, I got a decent chunk through it there in that one session when I was recording before. I actually did better than I thought, considering I was recording. So you have the opportunity to accomplish a lot in a very short period of time, which is really what these kinds of experiences should be aiming for, and I really dig that. I hope this comes out on Android, because I will definitely buy it again if it comes out there. Most games that start on iOS usually make it to Android eventually, so I would absolutely pay for this. But this is a great PC game, and the great thing about it is, even though this came out from a decent-sized publisher, indie publisher, this is actually being published by Devolver Digital, it's still dirt cheap on the PC. It's $3 US, or your regional equivalent, which is bananas. That's just fantastic. I'm guessing that's what it costs on iOS, I don't know. But the thing that usually frustrates a lot of PC gamers about mobile ports... What the heck is a Noppy? Oh, the Noppy is a gun that I like very much. But yeah, what tends to frustrate a lot of PC gamers when it comes to mobile ports is that oftentimes they're not only not very good quality ports, but they usually cost 4 to 5 times as much as they do on a cell phone for the same version, or maybe a version with a little bit of extra content, but certainly not enough to justify the premium. But it looks like this one's being priced the same way, or at least very close to the way it is on phones, and that's fantastic. I mean, sure, we have Steam refunds in that now, but honestly, for $3, you got nothing to lose. Even if you buy this game and don't really like it, you're out, you know, less than a pumpkin spice latte. I mean, it's a fantastic value proposition, honestly. And I've already put a decent chunk of time into this game, and I'll put more into it without a doubt. This is just such visceral fun. And I love how faithful the retro styling is. Like, I would not be surprised if you could make, you know, with a little bit of optimization, if this game couldn't run on either an NES or, you know, an 8-bit computer like a Commodore 64 or something. The graphics are bang on. More upgrades to choose from and gain 1 hit point. Sure, let's do that. The graphics are bang on. The sound effects in that are bang on. I mean, maybe the frame rate wouldn't be as consistent on one of those older consoles, but it's even got the, you know, the sprite collision flicker that things like the NES had in that, and I absolutely love this music. It's just, it's got that, like, the music and the sound effects have that real raw, like, really just baked square wave feel to them, you know what I mean? Everything has a real punch and a real just crunchiness to it. And pastel, you say, eh? Let's try that. So here's what the surface looks like. So sometimes he's on a bench, sometimes he's just hanging here looking down the well. What's pastel? Oh god, that hurts, but let's do it anyway, why not? But yeah, the production values in this are bang on what you would expect out of a retro-inspired game, and I think it fits this very, very well. This game I could have seen having a niche back in the 80s, you know, in the era in which it's attempting to emulate, and I'm probably going to buy this soundtrack, because it's just, like I said, it's just got that visceral, crunchy, raw feeling that you got out of those old square wave music chips, and it really sounds like the composer, who I believe either did Spelunky or some other games. I'm sorry that I'm blanking on that right now, but he has done some other stuff. He gets it. He really gets the way to capture this type of music well, and it's the type of music that just is driving and really makes you want to keep going and want to get further on. I love it. I think the retro production values on this are absolutely spot on. And yeah, the gameplay is great. It could be very easy to screw up a formula like this with either you know, fluffy controls that don't respond properly, or a lack of variety, or just making it too hard. You know, like I said, I like roguelikes that employ the mechanics but don't feel like they, how do I put it? But that don't feel like the guy who made them hates you, if you know what I mean. There's a lot of roguelikes that seem that way. They're just so mean that you're kind of like, you know, you just hate your player base. This doesn't feel like that at all. This just feels like a guy who had a really weird idea, and that's where I find a lot of Japanese designers say they get their inspiration from, is they just have a weird idea that in the real world doesn't necessarily make a lot of sense. They just go, a boy falling down a well with gun boots. Well, that's completely not rooted in reality at all, but you know what? That's a really cool idea for gameplay systems, and you don't friggin' need a story, you don't need some friggin' message attached to it or anything. It's just, hey, this is a dumb idea that I can turn into something fun, and that's exactly what he did. And it plays so well. So, in case you can't tell, I cannot recommend this game highly enough. It is dirt cheap. It's $3 on Steam, and if you've got this and an iOS device or an iOS device, I think, unless you're really opposed to roguelikes in every sense of the word, get this, honestly. I think this is just an absolute blast. Also, there are leaderboards to this. Most gems collected. I think, yeah, longest combos, 438. Good God. There's some savants in here already, as you can tell. Fastest times. That's to the end, I assume. You can turn on the timer, by the way, if you go back to the options here. So you can actually turn the timer on. I like the fact that they made this an option, because some people, when they're trying to do runs, will find that distracting. To be looking up at it, and it'll break their concentration. I like the fact that they made it an option, and I like the fact that the leaderboards have a built-in feature for speedrunners, because speedrunners love roguelikes, and I really like the fact that he added that in. The only thing I would have liked to have seen, and I know this is a lot to ask, and it's not to say that he couldn't add it later if this does well, a replay feature would have really been cool, kind of like we had in Mega Man Legacy Collection. If we could have a replay feature where you can actually see the playthroughs of some of these, you know, savant nut jobs who managed to get these wicked combos and times, that would be awesome. Oftentimes watching those is as fun for me as playing the game itself. I really enjoy that. But yeah, this plays fine with the keyboard. I'm playing with an Xbox 360 controller. It has proper gamepad support, so that works fine. And the keyboard works fine. It's only 3 buttons, so it's not like it was a complicated thing. So that's why I believe it also probably works fine on touchscreen. There's no weird tilt mechanics or any of that jazz. And yeah, it's a good PC version. There's not a lot of options in the options menu, but I mean, this is a 2D game inspired by the NES. That, you know, you're not pushing AAA production values here, so it doesn't really matter. And I love this. I am having so much fun with this. I'm going to probably one more run this many times in a row instead of editing this like I should be. And if this looks like it interests you at all, if you like this visceral arcade-style gameplay, if you like roguelikes, if you just like these really wicked retro-inspired production values, get this. It's $3. You've got almost nothing to lose, and I think you'll do well with it, because as someone who is very picky about his roguelikes, this is one of the better ones I've played in a while, and that's coming off of Sub-Level 0, which I also loved, so take that as my ringing endorsement. So yeah, that is Downwell, developed by a person whose name I've unfortunately already forgotten. Yeah, I'm not going to try to pronounce that because I can't remember. I am very sorry about that, but it is largely by a single Japanese developer, and it is published by Devolver Digital for the PC and for iOS devices, and hopefully soon Android devices. Yeah, $3, come on. This is one of the best $3 values I've seen in recent memory, and I highly recommend it to just about anybody. My name is Parallax Abstraction. Thank you all very much for watching. If you liked what you saw here, please consider liking the video and subscribing to the channel. It does help me out a great deal. And yeah, well, I'll see you guys next time. Just one more run, I swear. Take it easy, guys.